Once again, a very warm welcome everybody to the webinar Doing Business in Tunisia. My name is Arne Doornebal. I represent the Netherlands African Business Council. I'm the moderator of today, and I'm also NABC's country representative for Tunisia. Actually, last time I was supposed to go to Tunisia just 3 months ago. Unfortunately, it was one of the very many business trips that was cancelled because of COVID. The previous visit before that was in 2017 when I was invited by FIPA, and I saw a lot of the business opportunities in Tunisia, and also I wrote a story about it for the NABC magazine. The recent activities we have done with Tunisia, actually we did a small specialized trade mission last year in February, where Dutch entrepreneurs from the horticulture sector traveled to Tunisia. They made a trip there. One of them represented a large cooperative of tomato growers in the Netherlands. They also visited Dutch company Desert Joy. We'll hear from them later on, close to Gabes, and they also visited some farms in the Nabil area. And the year before that, in February 2018, NABC organized a workshop about agribusiness in Tunisia. Also, Ambassador Ghariani was there to welcome the participants, to enlighten them about all the horticulture opportunities there in Tunisia. As said, I also visited there in 2017 in order to write a story about opportunities in the ICT sector in Tunisia. We, as NABC, also have a long-standing cooperation with the CTNCI, the Chambre Tunisia Néerlandais pour le Commerce et l'Industrie, and we're in the process of renewing our existing cooperation agreement with them. Having said that, it's now time to hear from the ambassadors. We'll start by inviting His Excellency Elyes Ghariani, the Ambassador of Tunisia in the Netherlands, for his opening remarks.
Excellency Ambassador Dearton, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very pleased to be amongst you today and to take part in this first webinar dedicated to promote Tunisia as a destination for foreign investments. Economic diplomacy and the promotion of economic exchanges are ranked very high on the Tunisian priorities. Economics are a key goal for our bilateral relations with the Netherlands. At the outset, I wish to thank the Netherlands African Business Council, NABC, as well as the Foreign Investment Promotion Agency, FIPA Tunisia, for organizing this event. I welcome you all, and my special thanks go to His Excellency Ambassador Lansink and Mrs. Ben Romdhane, Director at FIPA, for joining us from Tunis. On a personal note, I'm glad to know that each and every one of you have managed to stay safe and healthy during the very challenging times we have been through. Undeniably, the COVID-19 pandemic poses an unprecedented economic and social challenge, not only for Tunisia, but also for Europe and the entire world, is of such a scale that no country can successfully address it alone. This common experience highlights more than ever the value of international cooperation and solidarity. I would like to convey here our appreciation for the expression of solidarity and friendship shown by the Dutch officials and partners during these difficult times. As a matter of fact, in just a couple of months, the virus has placed societies and health systems under deep stress. Our country remains relatively dimly affected by the pandemic, with only 50 deaths and 1,175 confirmed cases as of July 1st, 2020. Strict lockdown and the medical expertise, as well as all the measures taken to curb the spread of the virus, paired with the help of civil society and understanding and compliance with all Tunisians, were crucial in this fight, which materialized in a tremendous and commendable gain in terms of saving lives and reducing the risk of spread to a minimum. On the other hand, it also incurred heavy economic and consequently social burdens. Having said so, this gain needs to be lifted up by a new economic dynamic. In this context, today's webinar is of utmost importance as it aims to shed the light of the current business climate in Tunisia with a focus on the new business opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, first, a few words on the business climate today. I'm sure that our colleague from Tunis, from FIPA Tunis, her remarks will touch upon the subject more in depth and with more accurate figures and insights. For my part, I wish to stress the measures taken to stimulate the economy and therefore to boost the business climate in Tunisia. As we begin to move away from the containment measures necessary to deal with the health crisis, the Tunisian government has launched a post-coronavirus recovery plan based on strengthening national sovereignty and security, preserving the economic fabric, working to revitalize the most affected sectors, and preserving jobs. In the midst of the lockdown and in order to mitigate the economic effects of the pandemic, the government unveiled on March 23rd, 2020, 2.5 billion Tunisian dinars. It's around 790 million euros or $890 million investment package that included delaying tax debts, postponing taxes on small and medium-sized enterprises for 3 months, and financial assistance for unemployed workers and underprivileged families. The government also created an investment fund worth 700 million dinars or 230 million euros to capitalize the institutions affected by the coronavirus crisis. The ambition package will enable support the economy and act as a safety net for business and investors. This new framework sends a clear and positive message to the business community about our commitment to turn our mind towards recovery and help strengthening the business environment in Tunisia. Of course, these new measures have been set up to supplement the pre-existing framework. Tunisia's business climate offers since many years numerous incentives and advantages. I shall mention by way of example its geographic location, the proximity with the European market, a well-developed education system, qualified and competitive workforce, as well as a favorable FDI legal and fiscal frameworks. I would like in particular to single out that Tunisia is also positioned as an ideal hub or platform to access neighboring markets such as Algeria or Libya, as well as other African Middle Eastern markets.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Ghariani. I see that also our entrepreneurs both managed to join, so you will hear from them later on during this webinar. Now let's also hear from the other ambassador currently in Tunis, Ambassador Lansink, representing the Netherlands in Tunisia. Good morning, sir.
Thank you also to my colleague in the Netherlands, which I thank also for an excellent presentation. I'm just going to touch upon some of the points that he made. And let me start by saying that I feel sometimes as a Dutchman humbled by the efficacy and efficiency with which Tunisia has reacted to the COVID-19 crisis. You have heard the figures. There are only, I should say, 1,100 infections here in Tunisia since the start of the crisis. And unfortunately, there were cases of people who died, but a very low number, only 50. If one compares that with the 50,000 infections that we have in the Netherlands, and the probably 6,000 official, but probably 10,000 official deaths, then one can but say that we perhaps from the Netherlands could learn a little bit about how Tunisia managed this crisis. If you look around now here in Tunisia, I know it's hard to believe, but life is as before COVID. Obviously, we still have some regulations here, but life has returned. We are very busy, and that's a good thing. I also wanted to announce that during a long time there were all sorts of travel restrictions for Tunisians going to the Netherlands and for people from the Netherlands going to Tunisia. And I'm very happy to announce that since yesterday, both the Netherlands and Tunisia decided that travel between our countries is again possible. In the case of Tunisia, it means that people from the Netherlands, resident in the Netherlands, not Dutch nationals, but resident in the Netherlands, can come to Tunisia, visit without any limitation. That is to say, they don't need to have a negative COVID-19 test or a period of quarantine. And the same holds true for Tunisians going to the Netherlands. We will restart the visa activities very soon here in Tunis. So that's a very positive note. My colleague already also indicated that the crisis, though very effectively and efficiently treated, combated here in Tunis, has had a severe socio-economic impact. And this came on top of a already difficult situation for Tunisia. There is the growth figures in Tunisia are positive, comparable to the Netherlands, but considering the challenges for Tunisia, the problems were unsolvable with those growth rates. And what I'm referring to specifically is employment. This is a country with an excellent infrastructure, in hard infrastructure, but also in human capital. It is a highly educated population, but also a population with a high number of unemployment, especially in the, if one talks about the, say, highly educated part of the population. So there is a definite mismatch between what the private sector here offers and what the country can supply. And I think that in that mismatch, there are opportunities. There are excellently educated Tunisians that could be. I will return to this point. The problem, or the challenge for Tunisia is to, as my colleague said, to dynamize the economy, to make sure that the private sector becomes more dynamic and thus creates more, becomes more competitive on a world scale and creates more higher paid jobs. And for that, the catchphrase is the reforms are needed. I think that COVID-19 has again proven to everyone that perhaps the old-fashioned way of doing reforms may not be sufficient. When I talk about the old-fashioned ways, when one talks about diminishing the role of the government, and things like that. I think that the COVID-19 crisis has shown that the governments have a very important role to play. So if one looks at the future, the reforms needed here in Tunisia should be aimed at creating an atmosphere, a creative and dynamic atmosphere for the private sector. Before I touch upon certain sectors already partly mentioned by my colleague, I would like to just touch upon two issues. One is the economic relationship with the European Union, and one is the issue of reshoring. As far as the economic relationship with the European Union is concerned, I think I should start with saying that this is a democracy. It's not a country in transition to a democracy. There's already 10 years of democracy, and from my perspective, this is a full-blown democracy, and therefore negotiations on trade treaties are as complicated as in our own country. That means that it is not a very quick thing that can be done in other countries, also here in the region, where a president can decide whether or not to accept a certain deal. So it takes time here in Tunisia, and I think that's for the better. But it means also that for the time being, the benefits of a deal that could be made are not yet available. The negotiations are continuing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador. Continue with our next speaker, who is representing FIPA, the Foreign Investment Promotion Agency. Let's hear from Jihène Ben Romdhane about an overview of the business opportunities in Tunisia.
So, in a similar move, foreign businesses in Tunisia were fully engaged in the fight against COVID-19 with contributions in terms of donations, face masks, face shields, disinfection products, medical devices, or the redirection of production lines to supply the healthcare industry with essential medical equipment. So here, these are some examples of foreign companies implemented in Tunisia and involved in these efforts. Yeah, so building on this great value of collaboration, Tunisia has been lauded for its investment in high-value segments, mainly in electronics, in technology, many of which have supported the fight against COVID-19. Next, please. So, an array of innovations have been sparked during the coronavirus crisis. This is an example of an innovation in the time of Corona, especially in medical and scientific research. There is a biotechnology laboratory in Charnicol Hospital in Tunis was able to discover the genetic sequencing of the coronavirus in Tunisia. So it is a major breakthrough in the fight against the pandemic and a victory for the world of research in Tunisia. And in the other hand, the Institute Pasteur in Tunis is currently working on finding a vaccine in the event that a vaccine discovered elsewhere is slow to be available. So it is also developing a mathematical model to assess the effectiveness of pandemic control measures. Next. These are three examples of innovations in robotic technology. The first example is a robot ground vehicle produced by local startup named Engelvaart Robotics, deployed on the streets to impose lockdown restriction to citizens and to help slow the spread of coronavirus. The second example is robots that help medical staff avoiding infection from COVID-19 patients. The third example is another remote control robot that disinfects hospital rooms and corridors, distributed foods and medicine to patients infected with COVID-19 in medical facilities, avoiding the risk of contamination to staff. Next. This is an example of producing drones made in Tunisia, so an innovation in mechatronics. Next, please. Two examples of innovation using 3D printing and artificial intelligence. The first example is the Tunisian 3D printed medical masks, and the second one is an online coronavirus detection scanner. Yeah. Innovations in healthcare system as well. Protective visor for plastic water pipes and ultraviolet power disinfection tunnels. So these an array of innovation that demonstrates what Tunisian ingenuity is capable of in the face of the COVID-19 crisis. Next, please. So all these innovations have been quickly reached the front page of international media. These are some examples. BBC Online with its article, Tunisian factory in self-isolation to produce COVID-19 protective. The second one, Oxford Business Group, the New York Post, the CNN, Le Monde, with is the article entitled Tunisian researchers designed a respirator to be printed in 3D. So these successes allow Tunisia to align with the post-COVID takeover and to augur a resilient future thanks to its undeniable assets. Yes, please. So indeed, Tunisia is characterized by its proximity and free access to major markets, mainly the European Union, our major trading partner. So a partnership reinforced by a signature of a free trade agreement with the European Union in 1995, as mentioned earlier by His Excellency Mr. Ghariani. So this strategic position allow Tunisia to be a regional platform for innovation and an opportunity for companies who seek to nearshoring parts of their production activities. And Tunisia is also open to other markets. It has signed several regional and international preferential trade agreements with most of the countries it trades with, such as Turkey, Morocco, Egypt, Jordan, knowing as Agadir Agreement. Tunisia is also the 20th member of the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, the Commercieel. So it will systematically have access to a market of more than 500 million consumers. And Tunisia is also joining the ECOWAS, the Economic Community of West African States, in 2019. It is the largest gathering of countries in the African continent. Yes. Tunisia is also characterized by an innovative ecosystem with a pool of international level talents at a competitive cost. So it's with its performing educational system, Tunisia provides more than 60,000 new graduates per year, of which 35% of graduates are in the fields of engineering and ICTs, with a high levels of multilingualism. As most of Tunisians speak more than 2 languages. Therefore, Tunisia is ranked second country in the world in terms of graduates in science and engineering, according to the Global Innovation Index 2019. It is also the first in North Africa in terms of general expertise, according to the Global Talent Competitiveness Index 2018, and Tunisia holds the greatest concentration of researchers among Arab and African countries, with 50% of scientific publications in North Africa. So thanks to this well-oriented and performing educational system, Tunisia is well positioning and is relying on its human capital to fight the COVID-19 crisis. Yes. Yes, please. Tunisia has also a world-class infrastructure, 9 international airports covering the entire territory, 10 competitiveness clusters, 7 commercial ports, an extensive 20-kilometer paved roads network, about 550 industrial areas, technoparks, cyberparks covering different specialties, mainly the communication technologies. Tunisia is competitive globally. It is ranked first in Africa in terms of competitive industrial performance according to Competitive Industrial Performance Index 2018. Is ranked second innovative economy in Africa according to the Global Innovation Index 2019. And the Tunisian's health system ranked Tunisia second most efficient in Africa according to the Bloomberg 2019 Healthiest Country Index. Finally, Tunisia is ranked third in Africa according to annual Bloomberg Innovation Index 2020. Yes, please. So all these strategic and valuable assets allow Tunisia to be a favorable destination for FDI. So today we are proud to say that Tunisia has a great experience in the fields of attracting investments. The major number of foreign companies in Tunisia is currently 3,486, and 75% of foreign companies were only exporting. So the total number of jobs is more than 386,000, and the total amount of investment is more than 25,000 million Tunisian dinars. Yes. The slide shows the breakdown per sector. As you can see, the manufacturing industries attract a large share of foreign investment, mainly in sectors with high added value, like the mechanical, electrical, and electronics, as well as automotive components. It is followed by the services, 38.2%, by tourism, 8.7%, and agriculture, 1%. In this slide, so you can see the international actors that have chosen Tunisia to set up their activities, knowing that the Netherlands companies in Tunisia, there are 89 companies providing more than 16,000 jobs, and the total amount of is about 1,183 million Tunisian dinars. So we are keen to increase the Dutch companies in Tunisia. Yes. These companies are encouraged by a new specific and attractive legal framework. So here it is important to say that the Tunisian government has made substantial efforts on much needed relating to investments. So a new investment law has been adopted in 2018, and the specific law grants several incentives, advantages, like the freedom to hold 100% of the company's capital. The foreign investor is also free to own properties as part of investment projects. There is also freedom to transfer profits, assets abroad in foreign currency. Grant equal to 70% of employee training expenditure, leading to certification of skills in accordance with international standards, with a maximum of 20,000 dinar per enterprise. And the foreign investor can hire the foreign company can hire foreign managerial staff within a limit of 30% of the total number of managerial staff and until the end of the third year, and 10% thereafter. with the possibility to hire in all cases. So this slide shows the substantial investment grant for priority sector for projects of national interest is considered as a project of national interest, which the investment amount is superior to 50 million Tunisian dinars, or the project employs more than 500 people. Grants are also grants are also offered to projects in regional development. As in Tunisia, there is an imbalance between the coastal regions and the regions for the interior. So more incentives are given to projects which are implemented in the internal of the country. And taxes, reduced corporate tax of 13.5% for a wholly exporting regime. Yes. Regarding the specific promising sectors for investment and business in Tunisia, the automotive sector, yes, please. Tunisia is an attractive destination for automotive industry. This field is quite developed. Please, the next slide. Tunisia indeed is the third car components manufactured in Africa, with the presence of more than 260 companies, of which 65% are wholly exporting, providing more than 80,000 jobs.
Yes, actually, Jihène, could you kindly, for the interest of time, maybe see if you can summarize the end a little bit, because we have still three more speakers, and we do want to be finished in time.
Okay. The next slide, please. I will be fast. So the 70% of active companies in automotive companies are established to the northeastern regions and operating in specific fields like electronic components, mechanical components, plastic processing, etc. Yes, please. The digital sector is a new spearhead of the Tunisian economy. Yes, please. It has recorded a significant growth during the last year. So the IT accounts 1,800 companies with 34,000 direct jobs. Please. Examples of Tunisian digital industry which are fully engaged in emerging technologies. Yeah. The renewable energy, which is an evolving sector. So in this sector, Tunisia has enormous potential with high solar irradiation levels, as well as favorable conditions for wind energy. Please. So Tunisia is making great steps in this sector. It has announced an action plan that will produce 12% renewable energy in 2020 and 30% in 2030. Yes. Yes, okay. Yes, the next slide. The agribusiness sector is a key sector for the Tunisian economy, yeah. Accounting around more than 1,088 companies, of which more than 120 foreign participations. The number of jobs are more than 75,000. Knowing that Tunisia is the second world exporter of dates and the second world exporter of olive oil, and these are examples of emergence global champions in this field. Yes, the other slide. These are other investment opportunities in specific sectors: aerospace, textile and apparel, infrastructure projects, financial services, medical tourism, and environment. The next slide shows the perspective of FIPA Tunisia. So FIPA will review its strategy promotion, which will be focusing on three core roles: the retention, with a view towards increasing the embeddedness of existing investment companies; the second role relating to the investment generation by the reprioritization of target sectors; and the final one is the digital transformation to remain competitive and to optimize Tunisian performance. So thank you very much for your attention, and sorry for the time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jihène Ben Romdhane of the FIPA.
We first do the brief Q&A with Philip, and then after that we go back to the Q&A with Patricia Engelvaart. Philip, you are you're the founder, I would say, also of Desert Joy there in the south of Tunisia. We've been talking to each other a couple of times over the last couple of years. Could you briefly tell us how your company is doing? What are you doing there in your company?
Yeah, we grow tomatoes. In Netherlands, we have also a big business of tomatoes, and we try to serve our customers year-round. Now, especially in the winter time, it's not, let's say, very sunny in the Netherlands. So then the idea was to produce in Tunisia. In the moment, we are also producing here year-round. We have 40 hectares of tomatoes, and yeah, it's going very well. Quality is good, same like Holland. Yeah, customers are happy, people are happy, and we have plans also for the future to grow more.
Okay, 40 hectares. How many people do you employ?
For the 40 hectares, in the peak we have around 850 people, and let's say in a yearly base 650.
Okay, that's a very significant amount of staff. So you must be one of the largest employers there in the southern region where you're active.
Yeah, we have also several other big companies, but.
What made you initially to go to Tunisia?
I was here invited by a colleague, and then it was before the revolution. It was San Lucar, and I saw the difference between Morocco and, for example, Turkey or Egypt. And directly I was in love with Tunisia.
So what is the difference? I mean, the revolution was 2011, so I imagine this is then roughly more than 10 years ago. But
no, I think first I did we traveled with and organized from the government, how you call it,
like a trade mission, yes.
Trade mission, yes. And then we visited Morocco and Tunisia.
Yeah.
And then after I went several times just to visit shortly. And then we obtained for PSI subvention. And we started looking for a good partner, and then everything started.
Yes. And how do you, because it's often mentioned the advantages of Tunisia are also the proximity to Europe. How long does it take you to bring your produce to the European markets?
At the moment it takes us, normally it should take us 3 days. And this is a point of attention because also in France, in Marseille, and also in the harbor in Tunisia, there is sometimes some problems with computer systems, but in fact it should be 3 days.
Okay, and that's yeah, of course that's relatively quickly, but of course when your products are perishable, you want it as brief as possible. What can you say, because it's already been addressed, it's also challenging maybe sometimes to be in Tunisia. What do you find particularly challenging?
Particularly challenging? What is challenging? You have to have a little bit more patience. And for me this is sometimes hard. Right,
but you mean when it comes to dealing with authorities, of the speed in which your staff is working with
yeah, I think in general you everything is more relaxed.
Okay, and how did you manage to continue operations during the COVID era time?
Yeah, I managed to do that like we do it now through Zoom. You see it also now. It's not working very probably, but we do it through Teams, and sometimes. Yeah, we was already a little bit working in this way because we had before the COVID crisis came, also in the tomato and very difficult virus. So we was already working more on distance. And yeah, we have SharePoint. We share all our files, and we have regularly contact and meetings through internet.
Yeah. exactly. I can imagine. And as I mentioned in my introduction, I'm not sure if you were logged in already. We, as NABC, we also organized a trade mission last year to Tunisia. We brought a couple of tomato growers and also went to visit your company. So I thought, if it's so fantastic to do business in Tunisia, tomorrow they will all open a business. But it didn't happen. Why do you think people are still hesitant to actually make that last step to come and do business in Tunisia?
Yeah, I think it's typically it's not related to Tunisia or what we see. We have companies in France, we have in Poland, Morocco, and in Tunisia. But most growers like to stay near the church. How you say this in English? They want always to see their friends or the football club, and they are not willing to. I think it's in abroad. It's scary. I not see very much people who are willing to be really an entrepreneur in the agricultural sector.
I see. So they miss the guts to actually go out there, and the opportunities are there.
What we see now in the schools in Nederland, that they are pushing the young guys to be more international. And this is, I think, a very good development.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. van Antwerpen. Please do stay on the line in case there's a question. Somebody who is absolutely not scared to go abroad and to look for opportunities there is Patricia Engelvaart. I can see her clearly, but let's hope that this time Technique is with us and we can also hear her. Please tell us, when did you first come to Tunisia and when did you think I should start a factory here?
Well, we started in 1991. It was on that moment, our production was still based in the Netherlands, but we were become too expensive in the Netherlands, so we were looking for another solution. And yeah, we just get involved with somebody, Dutch people who did start their own confection in Tunisia. And we first start in the beginning very careful with some sending some cut pieces to sew it in Tunisia, and then it did come back to our place in Holland. And that was the first start in Tunisia, very careful. And from that time on, we did help them to build up the factory better with our knowledge. But it was already started very soon that this company was too small. And on that moment, we did look for another company, and we did start with my companion that we still have right now.
Okay, so that's quite a long time you've been active there. Now, this promotion video you shared recently, that was a big factory. It's yours. You own it, or you're just buying things from there?
Well, it's a cooperation. So part of the company, I'm also an owner, and I have a partner there. It's a Belgian man who is living in Tunisia already for a very long time.
And what is the production there? What is being produced and in which quantities?
Sorry.
So what do they produce there? I understand it's underwear.
Yes, we produce underwear, but also it's knitwear. It's also topwear. So everything what is knitted.
I see. And in which quantities? How much do you produce there?
Well, for our part, the production is around. It depends, of course. Normally, production is around 10,000 pieces a week. Dozen a week, 120,000 pieces. But during the COVID virus, we had also a lockdown in Tunisia, so we had to close the factory for a couple of weeks. Now we are building up again, but on this moment we are around 7,000-8,000 dozen a week.
Okay, I see. And how many people do you employ?
Well, totally the employments are a couple of thousand of the total factory. But for the part who's working for our company, it's around 400, 450 people.
Okay, I see. That's significant. Now, if I'm listening, I'm a Dutch entrepreneur, and I'm thinking, where should I go? Tunisia or Algeria or Morocco? Why would you say go to Tunisia?
Well, it's a safe supply chain, politically stable country, since 2011 a democracy, freedom of the press and expression, equality between men and women, and economically orientated towards Europe. Free movement of goods, no import taxes. In my opinion, also the most safe choice when you have to travel there.
I see. And you're a frequent traveler in that direction.
Yes, and besides that, Tunisia is still just about the cheapest country in the region.
When it comes to what? Staff costs or salaries or?
Yeah, I think with salary. When you get the wages in other countries are most of the time higher than in Tunisia, although the people have a good life in Tunisia. So and that's also an important thing. So wages are not so high, but there's not a lot of poverty here.
I see. So, okay, Patricia, thank you very much. Please stay with us for a couple of little bit more, because in case there are questions, we can still address them, even though we're running a bit behind schedule. We still have one speaker with us today. She's actually representing the Tunisian Trade Promotion Office in Rotterdam. Safa, Jennene, Labidi. Good morning, good afternoon. Could you perhaps give us a very brief introduction of your organization, and also why you can help Dutch entrepreneurs who do want to go and do business or to export to Tunisia?
Yeah. First of all, I would like to thank you for the organization of this event, and I would like also to thank attendees for their participation. I will give you a brief overview of our mission and how we acted during the COVID crisis. Then the Tunisian Trade Promotion Office, based in Rotterdam, is one of the offices of Tunisia Export, CEPEX. Our main mission is to support and assist companies based in Tunisia to export and extend their business in the international market. Then once a company is set up and is export oriented, it's possible to benefit from our services. To achieve our goals, CEPEX provides assistance to exporting companies by organizing participations to international events, allowing companies to reduce direct and indirect costs. In addition, we organize also specific business contacts program, including mainly business-to-business meetings in targeted markets, or buyers visits to Tunisia with sightseeing programs. We are also members and partner of all technical and financial programs aiming to develop exports from Tunisia and implemented by international institutions and organizations, providing information and advice about potential markets and business opportunities to companies based in Tunisia is also a part of our mission. As different countries all over the world, the corona pandemic has affected the fluidity of trade transactions. And during that period, CEPEX adapted its strategy to support companies and help them to overcome this difficult situation. We kept permanent contact with companies to facilitate export operation when it's necessary. For example, we coordinated with national and international air flight companies the transport of fresh products to client markets experiencing some transport troubles. We accelerated also the treatment of subsidies, demands, and refund in a very short time to allow companies to have more liquidity. Also through our international network based in 13 countries, mainly in Europe and the Tunisian Trade Promotion Office is part of this network. And also in African countries, CEPEX informed also companies based in Tunisia about new opportunities on those markets related to the current situation, like demands for masks, for medical clothes, for agri-food products, and so on.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we supported, we adapted also our support programs to the current situation, and we are planning the organization of virtual events such as B2B meetings online, and also virtual exhibition.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that, Safa.
Well, I just want to thank you and to thank everybody who has given himself time to listen, to participate, and wish to welcome you all in Tunis.
Thank you very much. That's for the invitation. I'm sure many of us will do that. We will share a summary of the recording after, and as well the participants list. Thanks a lot on behalf of NABC, and I wish you a great rest of the day.